Today, November 20th, is World Children's Day, a day to promote international awareness of children's rights. For more on this, we're joined today by Mr. Oren Schlein, head of UNICEF Seoul Liaison Office. Mr. Schlein, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
So first, could you explain what makes World Children's Day so significant, and how is this day different from South Korea's own Children's Day that's celebrated on May 5th?
Certainly. So November 20th marks the day that the Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted in 1989, and it's the most widely ratified treaty in history. Korea is a party to this treaty, and it's a day of global action where we unite more than 190 countries around the world, developed countries, developing countries, high income, low income. Everybody works together. And one of the very important points to note is that children's rights are severely under threat today. Conflict around the world, we've got climate shocks impacting children everywhere, a lot of disinformation and funding cuts as well. Official development assistance from traditional donors is decreasing, and this has a direct impact on children's lives. So the theme for this year's World Children's Day is My Day, My Rights, where we are putting children at the center, asking them to share their lived experiences, to take over boardrooms and classrooms and then political fora, and to do drawings and videos, and to really have adults listen to them about what they feel are their concerns. Children's Day in Korea, as you well know, is a national celebration of children and their families, whereas World Children's Day is truly a global advocacy moment where we try to hold our leaders, children try to hold their leaders accountable to protect their rights.
I see. So UNICEF has been releasing reports that examine key issues affecting children around the world. Can you tell us about some of the key findings from those reports?
Certainly. So the State of the World's Children Report is our flagship report. It comes out every year, and we have one primary theme that we analyze each year, and this year's topic is that of child poverty. And currently, 412 million children live in extreme poverty around the world. That's approximately 1 out of every 5 children. An additional 417 million children are deprived of basic services: education, nutrition, healthcare, water, sanitation, and housing. And as I mentioned earlier, there are many, many drivers that are worsening the incidence of poverty around the world. If you look at conflict alone, in conflict states, more than 50% of children are experiencing some form of deprivation and poverty. And in terms of climate, which I referenced earlier, more than 1 billion children around the world are at extreme risk of climate shocks. In terms of the funding crisis that I referenced, if we cannot stem the decrease in funding, by 2030, the end of the Sustainable Development Goals, between 4 to 5 million more children will likely die. And next year alone, more than 6 million children will be out of school because of these declining funding. Now, the final point I want to make is that when we look at poverty, it's not just about income poverty. It's what we call multidimensional poverty. And that is the point that multiple rights are denied to children at once. So the right to schooling and to healthcare and nutrition, the right to play. If there are 2 or more of these deprivations, this is what we call multidimensional poverty. The key point is that this is not inevitable. This kind of future, the kind of challenges that we're describing here, as long as countries invest in social protection programs and health and education, we can reverse these trends.
Right, absolutely. As you mentioned, it's not inevitable. So how has South Korea contributed so far to global efforts to protect these children's rights? And what more can countries like South Korea do to help advance these rights?
So Korea has been truly a major global champion of children's rights since it became a member of the OECD DAC in 2010. It has steadily expanded its investments in development cooperation. It is currently the #6 government donor to UNICEF. It sits on the executive board, so it has a lot of influence. It's involved in the key decisions about how we address children's issues. At the moment, the big priorities for Korea and UNICEF are humanitarian response, climate action, global health, digital safety, and equitable education. I should add that Korea is also a very strong supporter of the UN multilateral system. It recognizes the essential work that all UN agencies deliver on the ground. And importantly, as you and your listeners very well know, there's a very unique story, national story coming out of Korea. Having moved from being an aid recipient to a global donor, it really is inspiring other nations. So as we move forward, really there are three things that Korea can do. One is to expand its flexible funding to agencies, not just UNICEF, but the entire multilateral system. These enable us to respond quickly to emergencies and to reach the hardest populations. Secondly, is to sustain its support of protracted crises. And third, to really boost investment in climate resilient systems and digital protection, which are really emerging as key threats to children's rights.
Right, certainly a lot of efforts needed to tackle this issue. All right, Mr. Schlein, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.